Hello, pre-calculus. Today we're going to look at solving quadratic equations by taking square roots. So what we've already seen yesterday is how to solve by graphing, find those x-intercepts, and also from graphs determine if we have real or complex solutions and how much or how many real. And today we're going to look at using square roots. We can use square roots if we have a variable squared equal to a constant number of some sort, and that's what we're going to look at today. So little reminder of how we solve. When we are solving equations, remember we do order of operations in reverse. We get x isolated somehow by using those math skills that we've used in solving in other equations. So before we start solving a lot of different equations here, I'd like us to just look at this one. We've got x squared equals 81. And I want you to think about what x would this equation be true for? Now for most of us, we think about 9, right? 9 squared indeed is 81. 81 is a perfect square and its square root is 9. 9 squared is 81. But there's also another solution. Negative 9 is also a solution. So if we think about that, 9 squared, and so is negative 9 squared. So we will notice in our solutions when we actually solve an equation by doing the inverse of squaring, which is square root, we're going to see both a positive and a negative possibility when we do that step. All right, so let's go ahead and look at some examples. In this one, we've got 4x squared minus 31 equals 49. So we're going to isolate that x. So we're going to do that by adding 31. When we add 31, we have 4x squared equals 80, and divide by 4. We get x squared equals 20. Now, our x squared is isolated, so we're going to do the inverse of squaring, which is square root. And whenever we square root, we must remember to apply both positive and negative. So x equals the square root of 20 and negative square root of 20. Now, if you wanted to write this as x equals positive and negative square root of 20, that means the exact same thing. Of course, that's 100% correct. We could split it into the two separate values, or plus and minus in front communicates the same. Now, a little flashback to geometry in Algebra 1. That square root of 20 can be simplified. This is 100% correct for our two assessments. But technically, the square root of 20 can simplify into the square root of 4 and the square root of 5. And the square root of 4 is a perfect square. So this can simplify to 2 square roots of 5. So if you want a little skill building reminder, practice that skill of our math past, you could, when given a square root as a final answer, see if you can then continue to simplify it, find those perfect squares. Now what I've boxed in purple, 100% correct. This is also 100% correct and completely simplify. All right. Let's look at this next one. We've got x minus 1 quantity squared plus 4 equals 20. So again, we're going to isolate that squared, that x term, which is in a relationship with that minus 1 and then squared. So we're going to get that isolated first by adding 4. Or subtracting 4, rather. And then we've got a square root to take now. So notice this is a parenthesis. This whole expression is squared. So we need to take the square root next in order to work with anything in this expression. And whenever we take the square root in solving, we're going to make sure we apply positive and negative. So x minus 1 can equal the positive square root of 16, which is 4. And it can also equal negative square root of 16, which is negative 4. And now we can solve. X minus 1 equals 4, so x equals 5. And x also equals negative 4 plus 1 is negative 3. Now, how can we check that we did this correctly? How can we check that these are valid? Well, being the good mathematicians that you are, you know that we can substitute these values back in here, and we should be able to get a true statement. If we take that 5 and substitute it in for x, we should get 20 equal to 20. And also, if we take that negative 3 and we substitute that in for x, we should again get the expression here to equal 20. If we don't, we know we've made an error along the way. All right, let's look at a couple more. Here we have 3x squared minus 9 equals 0. So we're going to go ahead again and isolate that x squared, adding 9 and dividing by 3. All right, now time to take the square root. Whenever we take the square root in solving, we need a positive and negative applied. So x equals positive and negative square root of 3, or you could list them out separately. Again, either one of those is totally fine. All right, here's our next example. We've got 2/3 quantity x plus 3 squared equals 5. So we're going to undo this multiplying by 2/5. So we're going to multiply by the reciprocal or divide by that fraction, which we do by multiplying by the reciprocal. So we have x plus 3 squared equals 25 halves. And let's go ahead and take that square root. Whenever we take the square root, we need to apply a plus and a minus. So we have x plus 3 equals the square root of 25 halves. And x plus 3 equals negative square root of 25 halves. All right, one step left, and that is to subtract 3. And again, here, now notice when I wrote this, I did not combine the 3 and the square root because those two are not alike, so I can't combine them using mathematical legal steps. So this can simplify further. I am not going to, for the sake of time, go through this simplification of that square root, but it can be simplified and the denominator rationalized. I will post what this can simplify to in my post with this video. All right, so these all had real solutions, but sometimes we are going to have solutions that are not real. We're going to end up having a square root of a negative number, and at that point, we're going to get a complex solution. So that's going to introduce to us a new concept that is new to us in Algebra 2, and that is the concept of I. So I is the square root of negative 1. It represents a complex number, not real, but is a complex number. This allows us now to solve a lot more quadratics than we were able to before. In our intermediate algebra past, when we had quadratics, we just said when this happened, if we had a square root of a negative, we'd have no real solutions. But now we can go further. Yes, there's no real solutions, but we're going to be able to write it as a complex number using this. There's more on I here. We're not going to do math with or algebra with I yet. So we're going to come back to some of this later. But what I want us to employ today is that I equals the square root of negative 1. All right, so let's apply what this will look like. Here I have the square root of negative 25. So this can be written as 25 times negative 1. And if this can be written as 25 times negative 1, we could take the square root of 25 and multiply it times the square root of negative 1 to simplify this radical. I don't know why my marker doesn't want to work super well right now. There we go. So this would then be 5, and the square root of negative 1 is I. So the square root of 25 is 5i. Let's look at another example. Here I have 5 times the square root of negative 9. This is the same as negative 5 times the square root of 9 times the square root of 9 times the square root of negative 1. And then this will simplify to negative 5 times 3 times the square root of negative 1, which is I. And then this can simplify further. Negative 5 times 3 is negative 15, and we have I. All right, let's look at a couple equations where we're going to solve and we're going to see I. All right, so here's our first one. We've got 3x squared plus 12 equals 0. So we're going to, again, isolate that square root, or that square rather. We're going to divide by 12, or rather subtract 12. And we've got 3x squared equals negative 12. And we're going to divide by 3. And we have x squared equals negative 4. And lastly, we're going to take our square root. So notice exactly the same steps as we did in the previous examples, except now we just have a square root of a negative. So we can deal with that now. The square root of a negative will have an I. So positive and negative square root of negative 4. Well, the square root of 4 is 2. The square root of negative 1 is I. All right, one more. All right, for this one, we're going to first subtract 4. So we have x minus 1 squared equals negative 25. At this point, we have an expression that is being squared, so we have to take that square root first, and keep in mind whenever we take the square root, again, positive, negative. So we have x minus 1 can equal both positive square root of negative 25. The square root of 25 is I. The square root of negative 1 is I. So square root of 25 is 5. Square root of negative 1 is I. And also the negative of that. All right, then we add 1. So x can equal 5i plus 1. All right, x can equal 5i plus 1, and here negative 5i plus 1. Notice I did not combine these two. These are not like terms. One has an I, one has a constant. All right, your turn. Here are two equations I would like you to try to solve. 2/3 x squared plus 14 equals 20, and negative 2x squared plus 1 equals 51. Once you solved these two, please continue this video, and I have my steps and the correct answers following. All right, so we should have for number 1 both positive and negative 3. For number 2, both positive and negative 5i. If you missed any of this, please look at the steps that I showed as I solved these to help you to understand the steps that maybe you miss along the way. Your assignment today, you will be doing a worksheet where you're going to practice some of these same skills. If you have questions, of course, let me know. The key is posted for you to check. Good luck.